Monday, March 13th, 2017. Welcome to CBS This Morning. The biggest snowstorm of the season takes aim at more than 50 million Americans. The latest forecast for the system expected to dump more than 2 feet of snow in some places.
A crucial scorecard on the Republican health care plan is expected today. We'll learn how much the Obamacare replacement will cost and how many people could lose coverage.
Plus, more people are treating pets with pot. The potential dangers that vets are worried about.
But we begin this morning with a look at today's eye-opener, your world in 90 seconds.
Mother Nature is getting her act together.
We have 2 storms going into one tonight, forming our nor'easter, and then blizzard tomorrow.
A really big one, and it may even be historic.
The Northeast braces for a major snowstorm.
Snowfall rates anywhere between 3 to 4, up to 5 inches per hour.
A chance to see a foot of snow or more.
Hang on to your hats, everybody. 12 to 24.
You have conservative members of the House, you have AARP, the American Medical Association, coming out against this. You're pleased with the reaction. The reaction has been awful.
If we just did nothing, washed our hands of the situation, we would see a further collapse of the health insurance markets.
I would say to my friends in the House of Representatives, do not walk the plank and vote for a bill that cannot pass the Senate.
In California, a police officer beating a suspect, sparking outrage and allegations of excessive force.
And then women and children are being forced to walk through the front lines in the Iraqi city of Mosul.
Absolutely nowhere is safe at all.
A hoverboard is blamed for a fire in Pennsylvania that killed a toddler.
The pain so deep.
Amazing images of one of Mexico's volcanoes erupting, a plume of smoke and ash filling the sky.
Oh, that.
In Cape Town, cyclists had a lot of trouble with the wind, many being blown right over, riding in a wind tunnel.
Will Smith fulfilled a long-held dream. He bungee jumped right off Victoria Falls in Africa.
And all that matters.
An emotional message from Joe Biden as he continues his campaign to defeat cancer.
I am unwilling to postpone for one day longer the things we can do now.
On CBS This Morning.
We welcome back our friend and colleague, Charlie Rose.
A little more than a month after undergoing heart valve replacement surgery, Charlie Rose returns to CBS This Morning. It's going to be terrific to have him back.
Charlie, welcome back. We all missed you.
This morning's Eye Opener is presented by Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome to CBS This Morning.
Yeah.
And boy, am I happy to be here.
Oh, did you get that last part? The President of the United States says, welcome back, Charlie. We all missed
that happened.
you.
You sure you're talking about me?
Yes. I'm very sure he's talking. I got a lot of tweets over the weekend. This is one of the best from Gigi, who I don't know. Said, my birthday is Sunday. No, Gigi. He is back, ladies and gentlemen. My birthday wish is Sunday. My wish has been for Charlie's return. Wishes do come true.
Oh, indeed.
Did you feel tingly when you walked in the building?
I
How did you
felt
feel?
happy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great place to start your morning.
It
is.
Yeah.
You know, and to see you guys, I immediately went right upstairs to your dressing, to where you were being made up. And just to see everybody. Here they are, people who I...
You got a hug from Klaus.
I did.
You got a hug from Klaus.
When you get hugged by him, you're worried about squeezing you to death.
That's right. But what was great, Charlie, to hear your voice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I mean it.
The interesting thing is that the surgeons say to me, everything that we wanted to do came out even better than we expected. And so we're very excited about what it's going to be in terms of how you can perform.
That's what usually happens with Charlie Rose. It's always better than expected. We're glad to have you back, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Very glad to have you back.
We turn now to our big story. More than 50 million Americans are bracing for a massive late winter storm. Heavy snow is already creating treacherous driving conditions across the Midwest. And this is just a taste of what's to come. 2 systems are expected to combine over the mid-Atlantic states. Forecasters say the storm will slam the Northeast late tonight and tomorrow.
And get this, the nor'easter is forecasted to dump heavy snow all along the I-95 corridor. New York City could see between 1 and 2 feet of snow. Hello. Boston will get up to 18 inches. Dean Reynolds is in Chicago, where snow has now been falling for hours. Dean, good morning.
Good morning. Well, more than 400 flights have been canceled at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago so far today, and that's likely to increase as this storm has a cascading effect on other airports over much of the country.
Mid-March seems more like the middle of winter. Heavy snow and ice blanketed the Midwest overnight, making it nearly impossible to see the roads and sending some cars careening off of them.
Very slippery, whiteout conditions, visibility is pretty much non-existent.
Several cars were stranded on snowy South Dakota roads. Plows tried to clear a path for those who dared to make a trip. Blinding snowfall in Mankato, Minnesota led to multiple accidents along Interstate 35. A combination of strong winds and frigid temperatures have been swirling across the nation for days. The freezing temperatures left this home off the shore of Lake Ontario in western New York encased in a sheet of ice.
It is coming down.
And the South hasn't been spared from this late winter snap. Snow fell in the Carolinas and Tennessee, reminding everyone that spring is still 7 days away.
It's pretty to see the snow come down, but I'd rather it be warm again. I'm ready for spring.
It's been snowing here since about 10 o'clock last night, the first measurable snowfall since mid-December. And Gail, as you can imagine, we're all just jumping for joy about it.
Well, Dean, let's all get ready, Dean. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Winter storm warnings are in effect from Washington to Albany, New York, and blizzard watches are up from Newark, New Jersey to Boston. Forecasters say this could be the biggest snowstorm of the winter. Yowza. Chief weathercaster, that's Lonnie Quinn, of our New York station WCBS TV, is tracking the big storm as it moves east. Lonnie, you just heard Dean. How bad is it going to get?
Yeah, okay, for Chicago, I think you're talking maybe 4 to 8 inches today. But this system in Chicago, let me show you how it's going to interact with a system that's around the Gulf of Mexico right now. And the Gulf of Mexico storm isn't really all that big, but it's going to be the combo of the two. This will become the bigger player. Now, they're both going to push in the direction of the Carolinas. We believe they're going to exit somewhere around Virginia, maybe the Outer Banks, okay? This low pressure is now 1. Then it tracks to the north, sort of northeast. If it hugs the shoreline, all the shoreline communities will be getting rain, but snow inland. If, however, it goes a little bit further to the east, and this is where we believe it's going to go, well, then you're talking a big snow event for anybody, anywhere from, say, Washington, D.C., all the way up into New England. Timing looks like this. Let's say 11 o'clock tonight. You're looking at snow in Washington, D.C., 6 a.m., snow in New York City. You go through your day with the snow in New York City tomorrow. 1 p.m., snowing heavy in Boston as well. Then you wind things down. Tomorrow night going to early Wednesday morning, 6 a.m., finishes up with just some snow bands up in northern New England. So how much snow? The crazy part about this is how wide the swath is for the area that could see a foot or more. I'm talking from Washington, D.C. to Portland, Maine. I mean, locally, Philadelphia, maybe 8 to 16. New York City, 12 inches or more, possibly. Some of the locales could see close to 2 feet. Boston, 12 to 18. This is a lot of snow. For New York City, just for an example, all season long we've picked up 22 inches. It's possible we could double it tomorrow. I do think New York will be in that 12 to 18 inch range. Nora?
Wow. Get the snowsuits ready, Lonnie. Thank you so much. DeMarco Morgan is at a salt storage facility in New York City that's going to get a workout tomorrow. By the end of the day, we may learn the estimated cost of the... There we go. DeMarco Morgan is there. Hey, DeMarco.
Good morning. This is just one of the many salt storage facilities in the city that is getting ready for this monster storm. The state is ready to deploy up to 1,800 plows with more than 443,000 tons of this rock salt that you see right here behind me to keep our roads and our highways safe. Now, Governor Cuomo announced that the State Operations Center will be activated at some point later this evening, and that all state agencies are on heightened alert as we speak. Now, for those of you at home who may be wondering, is this the first time for a blizzard in March? Absolutely not. It's rare, but it happened back in 1993, and it also happened way back in 1888. Now, this time last year, the city got up to 32 inches. New York City got up to 32 inches of snow. This year, we're sitting at 22 inches, and many New Yorkers remember 2 years ago, the trains, the subways and commuter trains in and around the city had to be shut down. So we're hoping that is not the case this time around. We'll just have to keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best. Charlie, we'll send things back to you.
DeMarco, thank you so much. By the end of the day, we may learn the estimated cost of the Republican health care plan and how many people it will cover. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office is studying the impact of Obamacare's replacement. The analysis is expected to show that fewer Americans will have health coverage under the proposal. House Speaker Paul Ryan told our John Dickerson he does not know how many will be affected. Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill with the importance of the CBO numbers. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning and welcome back. Yes, that's a lot of pressure to place on the Congressional Budget Office, which crunches the numbers for all big pieces of legislation. Already this weekend, administration officials were out in force arguing that no matter what the numbers show, they're wrong.
We will see what the score is. In the past, the CBO score has really been meaningless.
GOP leaders insisted Sunday their new health care plan is bound to be cheaper and cover more people than whatever the Congressional Budget Office says.
CBO has been very adept in not providing appropriate coverage statistics.
Outside groups like Brookings and Standard & Poor's have already predicted the Republican plan could lead 10 to 15 million Americans to lose coverage because it scales back Obamacare's subsidies, cuts Medicaid, and eliminates the individual mandate.
How many people are going to lose coverage under this new? I can't answer that question.
House Speaker Paul Ryan told Face the Nation the plan will unleash market forces that will boost coverage eventually.
What we are trying to achieve here is bringing down the cost of care, bringing down the cost of insurance, not through government mandates and monopolies, but by having more choice and competition.
But he's facing resistance from some Senate Republicans like Tom Cotton of Arkansas. He says the party is taking a huge gamble on a rushed and untested proposal.
And I don't want to see the House majority put at risk on a bill that is not going to pass the Senate. That's why I think we should take a pause.
Okay, folks. Republicans are still encountering opposition at town halls back home, too. Democrats argue the bill shrinks aid to the poor, even as it cuts taxes for the wealthy that were imposed to help pay for Obamacare.
This really has nothing to do with health care. What this has everything to do with is a massive shift of wealth from working people and middle-income people to the very richest people in this country.
The head of the Congressional Budget Office was chosen by Republican leaders, which could complicate their efforts to pan his calculations. And this CBO score could be critical, Gail, to determining whether skittish Republicans get on board or not.
All right, we're all watching. Thank you very much, Nancy. The Trump administration faces a deadline today to turn over evidence supporting the president's claim that his campaign phones were tapped. Key figures in both parties say they've seen no proof to back up President Trump's charge made more than a week ago now. Margaret Brennan is her name. She's at the White House with the pressure coming from other Republicans. Margaret, good morning.
Good morning. Well, it was a working weekend here at the White House for President Trump, who avoided that political firestorm he ignited last weekend with that unsubstantiated claim that President Obama wiretapped his phones.
We're also talking about health care.
President Trump focused on business Saturday during a working lunch with cabinet officials at his Virginia golf club.
I have no reason to believe that the charge is true.
But on Sunday, fellow Republican Senator John McCain said Mr. Trump's unprecedented wiretapping accusation cannot be ignored.
The president has one of two choices, either retract or to provide the information that the American people deserve, because if his predecessor violated the law, President Obama violated the law, we've got a serious issue here.
Counselor Kellyanne Conway said the White House will not elaborate on the claim, but in an interview last night suggested wiretapping is not the only method of surveillance.
There was an article this week that talked about how you can surveil someone through their phones, through their
certainly through their television sets.
Speaker Paul Ryan said he did not expect to find any supporting evidence.
When we get through all of this investigation, I think we will discover that they didn't do those things, but Russia did try to meddle with our elections.
Former Trump campaign aide Roger Stone has previously denied having any Russian contacts.
I never had any contact whatsoever with any representatives of the Russian state.
But in a statement to CBS News on Sunday, Stone acknowledged that he did communicate with Guccifer 2.0, the online persona who claims responsibility for hacking the DNC. Stone said that at the time he was, quote, unaware of allegations that Guccifer 2.0 may be a Russian asset. Now, the House Intelligence Committee has asked the Justice Department to turn over any proof they might have of the wiretapping by the end of today. Charlie?
Margaret, thank you so much. CBS News political director and Face the Nation moderator John Dickerson is with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Charlie. The king has returned.
His court is in session.
Yes, right.
I have many questions for John. Most of them were about my tennis game while I was away. But I've been following this. It seems to me that it might be a problem in selling this if they can't tell you who's going to be covered.
Well, that's the big number. It's a simple thing to look at. How many people are going to be covered? And the White House and the president have said everybody who's on Obamacare will be covered. The president, in fact, has gone further. He's said everybody's going to be covered. And the reason that this is a problem is regardless of the number that CBO comes up with, it will come up with a number that will be bad. And whether that number is $1 million off or $2 million off, it centers in on the uncertainty surrounding any big piece of legislation like this. And uncertainty is what's driving the political pressure here that's giving this trouble.
Is it possible that the people who were part of the core supporters of Donald Trump will lose some of their coverage and rise up against it?
There's been plenty of analysis that shows that the Trump voter is the one that has the most to be uncertain and fearful about this. And also, the Republican plan that Paul Ryan has put forward is a theory, and he's done a lot of work on this, but he's got to sell his colleagues on a theory that he believes in passionately and that he thinks is really going to cover more people. But those other colleagues have to face the political pressure of the Trump voters, of their own voters, and of these numbers, which are not going to look good when CBO comes out.
This was a big campaign promise. We saw a clip from a year ago where Donald Trump said it'll be cheaper, more people will be covered, it'll be better. Yet the Republicans have had 2 years to work on it. They're not on the same page.
Well, that's because have you ever tried to go out to dinner with your high school friends? You can agree that you're all going to dinner, but somebody wants Italian, somebody wants Chinese, somebody wants sushi, and that's where we are now. And then you've got CBO coming in and saying, no, you've got to all have,
and
Malaysian
how can you predict
food.
a plan when you don't even know how much it's going to cost?
Well, that's the debate, and that's why the reason that's important is that you have Senator Tom Cotton and others saying, wait a minute, slow down, don't do this quickly. Why is that important? Well, A, you want to get it right, but B, if you pass a bill and it's been rushed through, then the critics have ammunition if it doesn't work out the way you've said to say, hey, no wonder it didn't work out well, you rushed it through.
Speaking of facts and evidence, on one other thing that you talked to Speaker Ryan about is whether he's seen any evidence of this charge that the president made, that President Obama wiretapped Trump Tower.
Paul Ryan is part of the Gang of Eight, which means he gets to see, along with the leaders of the intelligence committees in the Congress, the most sensitive information. So I asked him, did you see any proof that this wiretap that President Trump said exists? He said no. So flat out. So that's yet another person now who has said they've seen no evidence that a wiretap existed. And that's such an incendiary charge for the president to have made that without apparent evidence.
How is that going to play itself out?
Well, it'll play itself out in that there are now two committees looking at this, and they will render a judgment, yay or nay, did this happen? But then also they'll be rendering a judgment on what President Trump, what level of evidence he had to make this claim. Did he have something to put it on, or was he just doing it on a whim?
Lastly, the president's budget is coming out on Thursday, and we're going to see a big change there.
A big change. That's his core message. Shrink government, stop having to do this, the stupid stuff, and put the money towards defense mainly. And that's his priorities. We're going to see that in this document.
Well, the Washington Post reports that the president's impending budget proposal is likely to include cuts to the federal workforce on a level unseen since their drawdown after World War II.
That was his priority in his very first meeting with congressional Republicans when he was a candidate, the cutting of the workforce.
Not just a snowstorm in Washington, an earthquake this week.
That's right.
All right, John Dickerson, thanks so much.
Thanks, Nora.
For the first time, a deadly fire is linked to a hoverboard that overheated while it was charging. Coming up, the danger that many homes still face long after 500,000 hoverboards were recalled. It's a terrible story, but first, it's 7:19. Let's take a check of your local weather.
Well, it's the proverbial calm before the storm today, the day to get things done. We've got clouds on the increase throughout the day with a high getting into the upper 30s. After 9 o'clock tonight, the snow will start to move in from the south and be at its most intense by this time tomorrow. We're looking at 12 to 16 inches of snowfall throughout central Pennsylvania, so a major storm is moving in for tomorrow. And then it's just going to be windy and cold for us on Wednesday. Still concerns about blowing and drifting snow throughout the day on Wednesday.
This National Weather Report sponsored by new Parodontax, the toothpaste that helps prevent bleeding gums.
Introducing new Parodontax, the toothpaste that helps prevent bleeding gums. If you spit blood when you brush or floss, you may have gum problems and could be on the journey to much worse. Help stop the journey of gum disease. Try new Parodontax toothpaste. It's clinically proven to remove plaque, the main cause of bleeding gums, for healthy gums and strong teeth. Leave bleeding gums behind. New Parodontax toothpaste.
Newly released video brings new questions about the police shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri.
I had the new footage that a documentary director says proves that the 18-year-old did not steal anything before the confrontation that killed him.
You're watching CBS This Morning.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by ServPro, helping make fire and water damage like it never even happened.